Okay, well that ended a little abruptly, judging by what I saw waiting to play, but whatever. Anyway, welcome to a special edition of Outside the Box. Tony, have I got you on the board there? Oh,
Yep,
no.
Absolutely.
Okay, well I've lost the board here, so I just have to relog into it. This is nuts. My computer crashed. I've got booted out before I could get on the air here. The board just closed on me, so just give me a second here and I'll bring the damn thing back up. I'm having fun.
Synchronicity.
Yeah, I know. It's all things trying to stop me from keeping my yacht from opening tonight, but oh well. Sorry about your luck system. Yeah, I'm kind of in a mood tonight, so just give me a second to log. I'm just logging into the the chat room, and I want to make sure I got this right.
Yeah, so I'll link over you though.
What's that? Oh, for the chat room?
Yep.
Here, one sec. Okay, Tony Santo, and I haven't got it open up on this one, so just a sec. Let me get over to the studio first. And Santo will be joining us as well. I already told you that. So it's going to be a fun night tonight. Just want to make sure I got the right board here. This is nuts. Yeah, there. Oof, got it back. I better reboot that. Anyway, just a shit pile of fun tonight, boys and girls. Must be Saturday night. Anyway, I decided to do this show about 45 minutes ago, maybe an hour ago, like full on to make sure I had what I wanted. And I do. So, and we've already had a little conversation this afternoon as well, Tony. And there's lots of weird and wonderful things happening right now that it's no wonder people missed this game. Because you see, one of the things that the system likes to do, especially between the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, is they like to come up with their little tricks, you see, because right now we're in the darkest of times, right? We are in the tomb 3 days before the sun is born. So I decided, well, while everyone else is running around and, getting really distracted with commercialism, materialism, and all the rest of the nonsense that goes along with it, we've been a little busy taking care of presents or pre-sent for the entire planet, eh, Tom?
Yeah, the presents being the operative word. Presents, unfortunately, are very seldom. Sort of like there isn't any this year, I'm afraid.
Well, exactly. Stretch. And here's the irony of the word, right? And we've talked about it. I know I've been preaching it for a long time, as far as being in the now moment. And then it suddenly dawned on me the other night. How can I be in my now if it's something that somebody else present ahead of me? A lot of the epiphanies came out of things like silly movies like The Gamer, in which the bad guy sings the Pinocchio "I Have No Strings" song, literally from the Pinocchio movie. It's actually rather creepy, but the point struck home. You see, because what we're dealing with here between the now and the present is enough time for people to, or the nefarious ones, as Peter likes to call them, to play around with the reptilian brainstem and pre-program what it is that they want us to see. And while we're caught up in all the illusions, all the distractions, all the drama tornadoes, and all the rest of the crap, thinking that everything is normal, they've had us dancing for a very long time. And isn't it funny that here I am, for Christmas, right? We're coming up to Christmas. One of the most treasured times of year as far as family gatherings and whatever. And I won't see any of my family. Period. So, and that's not a oh pity me. That's actually by design, in that as much as I want to, because that's the normal thing to do, be with family and what have you. Well, my sister and my nephews, the closest family I've got, are in Ireland right now, so that's kind of an impossibility as far as going and hanging out with them. And of course my kids and all the rest of it. I don't hear anything from, based on the way the system came at me and my family earlier on this year in February. So here's the joy of it, though. I've been able to work on something that is a gift for mankind, far and above what I would deem to be a gift just for my immediate family, because everyone out there listening right now, or that will have downloaded this episode, you are my family. So why wouldn't I work for you as well? And this is the golden opportunity of being able to do that. And boy, has it been fruitful, eh, Tony? Are you there? Did I lose you?
Sorry, again, my mistake. I was talking without pressing the button.
I love it. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been one heck of a head spinner, and so much more on top of that. It just you couldn't make it up. You really couldn't.
Yeah, you can't make. Well, actually, you can, and this is the problem. Someone else has been making it up for us. So, what I've been doing for the last a couple of weeks anyway, I had this epiphany, and I started taking things, literally where most people would take it, metaphorically, and of course the things that you were supposed to take metaphorically, you take literally. So I've just kind of flipped everything up on its head, and boy, did stuff get exposed. You see, because all the world is a stage. This is just a show, guys. That's all this is. It is a show of shows.
I mean, lots of people have said this before, haven't they, in the past?
But,
we didn't take it literally. That was the problem.
Well, that's it. They're thinking, well, all the world's a stage, so, it means you get, it's a place to play and play in the game. But that's not exactly what they were referring to. What they were referring to is the absolute literal, more literal than you could imagine. This is the whole thing about why we're going beyond outside the box tonight. And I'm going to take people on a magic carpet ride, literally. Hopefully, if they can get it. Because I got to tell you, I'm going to present a document. I'm going to read through it because I want to get this into the ether tonight. Not quite finished it yet, but I'll tell you, it's close enough because every reference I'm pulling, I just run out of time. Bottom line is this: I can't get through an episode of Gravity Falls, and it's just exploding in front of my face. Like, it is so surreal. Of course we missed it. No one would believe this shit. No one. Well, I do. I can see it, though. That's the difference. You can see it, Tony. Miranda can see it. Zoe can see it. A handful of others. And I look at it now and going, yeah, it's no wonder we missed this for how many millennia?
God knows.
Yeah, too many to count, So, anyway, it gets stranger and stranger, the cross-references. I can't even begin. I would need a week on the air just to try to explain how I came to the stuff I came to, what the correlations were, what the synchronicities, the coincidences in my life, everything that I've done and how everything mattered, literally. I pre-sent it to myself. And everything that you're doing in your life, you pre-sent to yourself. So you're going to adopt a role of either an extra or, a stand-in or a co-star, or a star, or possibly a director. And there's a few beings here that are, taking it upon themselves to be directors. Like, let's take a look at the Sandy Hook debacle for a minute. A completely staged, no one was hurt event. Yet they were able to present this to the world as if it was actually real. They did it with 9/11. I mean, shit, Sandy Hook was nothing compared to that.
They do it with every feature film they present. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now look at the words you just said there. And this was the click when I was watching the gamer. I'm watching the opening. It said Lionsgate Pictures present. Oh, so they sent it ahead for me. I better pay attention. And this is the thing. When we start looking at things in future tense instead of past tense, as in present, it's been present to create your now. You start getting a different perspective on things. You start looking at it in the real mirror, and things get kind of strange. Now, kinda. Anyway, Tony, we were talking earlier about sending out scouts, basically looking at all the new movies, and I know for a fact that Zoe is one of those scouts, and she has a couple of friends as well that are looking at upcoming movies and spotting the trend that they're trying to create for us. Now, people will think, well, it's just movies. Where are you going to hide the biggest truths? You're going to hide them in the biggest fantasies. It's the most logical place to put them. Hide it in plain sight. Let people look right at it and miss it. And, well, we did. Not anymore. So
Yeah.
Batman was a good example. Batman, or Dark Knight Rising, I think it was, or anyway, they had both references to the Aurora, quote, massacre, unquote, staged false flag event, and also a reference to Sandy Hook, quote, debacle, unquote, staged event, false flag, selling the masses using all the same actors all the time. It's quite something. For those that are in doubt of any of that, the surreality of this game, have a look at Dallas Goldbug's work, and he'll take you way outside the box to places that you can't even imagine. The different characters playing the different roles across this planet, and it gets quite heady quite quickly. So I'm gonna, basically just come out and say everything you thought you knew, you better just drop it. Seriously, drop it, because you're gonna miss it. You look at the opening scene of The Matrix, where Neo, or one of the opening scenes, it's the very beginning of the movie, when Neo's looking at his computer and this message comes in to him, Neo, follow the white rabbit. And he didn't know where it came from. It was an anonymous message, but it was obviously something he pre-sent himself into the game, into the Matrix. It's sort of like, it's like this. Before we come into the game, into the show, as it were, we pre-program, if you will, Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs. And the game is to actually spot our breadcrumbs, which inevitably will lead you down the brick road to the Emerald City and out. And you don't find your way out, you just keep looping this and looping it and looping it, going deeper and deeper into the Matrix. And I've decided to not be a part of that anymore. I've decided to follow my breadcrumbs, and they are more blatant than you can imagine. They occur literally every minute of the day. I can't look anywhere and not see it. Anyway, so without further ado, I'll show you what this imaginary world has created. Someone's tagging me here with something. Yeah, I will when I'm off the air, Peace. Let me just let Peace know that I'm on the air. Like on the air now. Okay, here we go. Let me see, I gotta pull this up. This is it's a little piece of paper I'm working on. I haven't been really stretching my document writing for a very long time. It's something that I got okay at. I got pretty good at. I just looking at words and decoding interpretations, understanding what pure speech is. You might want to look that up in Black's Law. There's a whole, and again, all the stuff that I'm going to be referencing for you in this document is all referenced straight from Black's Law, following the clues in cartoons like Gravity Falls, movies like The Postman, The Gamer, Santa Claus 1, 2, 3, Jack Frost, Pinocchio, Wizard of Oz. What's the other one? Peter Pan.
There's more than one. It's
all over
the place.
I can't look at any movie and not see all the clues in it. It's so blatant, and they throw it in your face with a sense of humor. And while everyone's going, "Oh, evil, evil, evil," they're going, "That's not. You're just missing it. That's all."
Yeah.
And while you miss it, you're at the mercy of the game. So I'm going to try to remove some of that mercy of the game aspect for you guys. If you can have this or not, it's entirely up to you. You're your own keeper. You have your own canvas. If you want to continue to play on a canvas that was written for you, go ahead. I decided to burn mine, and I have a borderless canvas. So I'm rewriting my own script now. And we talked about this whole script writing thing a couple of years ago. When you can start looking at this planet, plan it. Okay, it's a plan. When you start looking at this planet from the perspective of all the world's stage, and that it is a theatrical presentation that we've set up for ourselves in terms of the one consciousness, the unity consciousness, divided into infinite perspectives of itself, with a couple of those perspectives getting a little out of hand, trying to control the whole game, then you'll get a better idea of what the hell it is I'm talking about. But until then, you're probably going to be scratching your head, and I guarantee you'll be scratching your head for a bit, but I'll tell you, this is what the Magic Carpet brought for me. It's called the invocation of Clausula Rebus Sextantibus, rid of covenant, rid of deceit, rid of inquiry. Whereas the fundamental change of circumstance is now present in pure speech in the role of liberal constructionist, Beetlejuice, and I mean that, It is my desirous wilful wish to settle this matter, fiat justitia ruat caelum, denic ultimatum reverio verum. A fraud revealed is null and void, nunc pro tunc, initio ad infinitum. Whereas my star contract, long-form birth certificate, is in custody with the Registrar General and given under seal of the General Registrar of Belfast, Northern Ireland, as claimed on the certified copy, my original copy has not been deposited in a lawful repository, namely the King's Exchequer at Westminster, as commanded by Richard I. It is my rightful duty to inform all parties who have laid fraudulent claim to my stock, as per Black's Law 9th edition, West, where subrogation is present. I am the stock of my mother, father, self-evident in the blood ether in my lineage veins. Mitochondrial DNA, delta 10 Lucifer, from my mother, which is prima facie evidence of my bloodline, RHA positive, where my father is the beneficiary of ascendants born to him. The father, semen, of any all born to him render him the beneficiary only, whereas the mother is fiduciary. I made a note for semen, because it all matters in the sounds of things, people, which means Ward of Admiralty, semen, so-called because of the legal view that a seaman in contractual matter should be treated as a beneficiary and the other contracting party as a fiduciary because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining positions. All right, just want to check to see if I just got a feeling something's on the board. Nope, not yet. Okay, just keeping an eye on it. All right, whereas the surname is assumed automatic at birth, inasmuch as my mother adopted my father's surname upon marriage, my living blood was kidnapped by cesarean, and I was taken from my natural jurisdiction to be willfully enslaved into another legal corporate dead jurisdiction against my free will choice via deceptios, via wrongful assumpsit. Whereas the mistaken assumption has been made that I am assumed in some way to be related to the crown, I attest this to be untrue, where the blood of my veins is mine, self-evident as living ether, without which I would cease to be. Given to me from my mother, father. My father is the beneficiary of me, where I am not the beneficiary to him, nor do I claim any of his inheritance, where I am his inheritor, which he is my heir, not the other way round. Furthermore, I lay no claim to my father's estate, where I may be mistakenly assumed to be the beneficiary, any all titles, names, surnames, debts, liability, at all, etc., where I hereby invoke beneficium abstinendi, ab initio ad infinitum, nunc pro tunc. Note, beneficium, a privilege, remedy, or benefit granted by law, such as the beneficium abstinendi, privilege of abstaining, by which an heir could refuse to accept an inheritance, and thereby avoid the accompanying debt. Beneficium abstinendi, privilege of abstaining, the right of an heir to refuse an inheritance and thus avoid liability for the testator's debts. Furthermore, my father's estate, beneficiary status, as well as my mother's fiduciary status, is willfully stolen via deceptios by any all parties, pirates, using my private name and birth vinta star date given to me by way of removing, kidnapping, shanghaiing me from my natural jurisdiction, where the creation of the short form birth certificate is prima facie evidence of this private to public fraud, absolute, where my long form birth certificate remains unlawful until it is placed in a lawful repository. All use of this name in the public is fraud ab initio ad infinitum nunc pro tunc until lawfully deposited. The DTC at 55 Water Street is not a lawful repository, but is rather a customs bonding warehouse. Now, subnote. Wade hearing, 1969. This comes from a 1926 case. Criminal law, a pretrial hearing in which the defendant contests the validity of his or her out-of-court identification. If the court finds that the identification was tainted by unconstitutional methods, the prosecution cannot use the identification and must link the defendant to the crime by other means. United States v. Wade, 388 U.S. 21887. Looks like Superior Court or Supreme Court, 1926. And another note here, star, which is from Latin starum, Hebrew shtar, a writing or a covenant. Historically, a Jewish contract, especially for the release of an obligation that Richard I declared to be invalid unless it was placed in a lawful repository, the largest being in the King's Exchequer at Westminster, also termed stara. It is well known that before the banishment of the Jews under Edward I, their contracts and obligations were denominated in our ancient record stara or stars, from a corruption of the Hebrew word, shehe, a covenant. These stars, by ordinance of Richard I, were commanded to be enrolled and deposited in chests under 3 keys in certain places, one, and the most considerable of which was in the King's Exchequer at Westminster. The room at the Exchequer where the chests containing these stars were kept was probably called the Star Chamber, and when the Jews were expelled from the king, was applied to the use of the King's Council when sitting in their judicial capacity. And that's from William Blackstone, Commentaries on the Laws of England, page 263 from 1769. Just checking. Yeah, Santos is here. Okay, just carrying on here, Santo. I got you on the board. We got you live now?
Yep, thanks.
There you go. Okay, so, in summary, the ruse perpetrated on myself and mankind is exposed for the mistake it is. Pure fraud, ab initio ad infinitum nunc pro tunc, where it is now incumbent upon those responsible, respons able, this fraud to, emendatio all mistakes created via this fraud. All evidence has been collected where it is now present for you, such as my living blood ether, which is prima facie proof of stock, as well as the long form, as yet unlawful, connected to short form, proof of public fraud, in my physical presence. By commission or omission of any all crimes, one is guilty where the crime is brought in view. Emendatio, Latin, historical. The power of amending and correcting abuses, according to certain rules and measures. So in conclusion, much knowing has been revealed to me in my own Genesis to Revelation. It is my desirous, willful wish for you to investigate the following. My original source contract is not deposited in a lawful repository. I have attached a photocopy, scanned, containing my receipt, BC short form, so you may further investigate and inspect the following. The Terra Cross, or the CRSS, your cross to bear, dotted line on the original source contract, Covenant 19 with 12 dots after it. Funny that. 12 dots shows up everywhere. My original source contract shows the birth date, star date, was never corporate jurisdiction, dotted line passed through to private, and was never meant or intended to be made public, short form fraud, where this private matter is concerned. Therefore, the United Kingdom of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and later Canada, Ontario, immigrant not migrant, falsely laid claims to being related or joined to the estate, disposing the need for testatory capacity, creating a situation where they would be, are benefiting from unjust enrichment via theft. The United Kingdom of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and later Canada, Ontario, with unclean hands, using false documents, moved me as a child into a different jurisdiction, forcing me to pay their taxes, tariffs, plus levies, creating much hardship for myself, while benefiting from unjust enrichment, aka literal slavery. The United Kingdom of England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and later Canada, Ontario, denied my easement on the land. The United Kingdom of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and later Canada, Ontario, removed my guest statute, not allowing me to seek damages. The United Kingdom of England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, and later Canada, Ontario, falsely labeled the estate, creating a trademark, shanghaiing me into using it for identification, defrauding me in the laws and customs, forcing me to conduct trade while benefiting from unjust enrichment. I am submitting to your department a photocopy of the birth certificate, both forms, to be used only for your inspection in this matter. Should you require the original, please contact cell phone numbers there. Clausula rebus sextantibus, cross, the cross to bear. Treaty provision stating that the treaty is binding only as long as the circumstance in existence when the treaty was signed remains substantially the same. Therefore, every contract created with their trademark is fraudulent, ab initio ad infinitum nunc pro tunc. I accept the full character of creator, creditor domini, entirely, auto genere. My willful intent is peaceful. It is my wish for my guest statute to be returned. It is my wish to receive your assistance in getting full restitution. Emendatio. Thank you. All references of law are from Black's Law, 9th edition, where many and further proofs are an addendum to this invocational writ. And I have many. I love this one. Familiar with the movie? Beetlejuice? Beetlejuice? Well, here we go. Let's see what it really means. Beetle. Oh, two words, beetle and jus, as in jus cogens or what have you. Justice, the J-U-S. Beetle, historically a court crier with duties similar to those of a constable. See nuntius. 2, historical, ecclesiastical law, a minor parish officer who serves the vestry's needs in various ways, including giving notice of the vestry's meetings, executing its orders, and attending its inquests. Inquests underway. 3, a mace bearer at Oxford University or Cambridge University, spelled Beetle, B-E-D-E-L. Let's have a look at juice now. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Juice. Law in the abstract. A system of law, a legal right, power, or principle, 4. Roman law, man-made law. The term usually refers to a right rather than a statute. Pay attention, people. Abbreviated J, also spelled I-U-S, comes from, also your, which is, there's another spelling here, small writing. Jus, when used in general sense, pay attention, used in general sense, answers to our word law in its widest acceptation. It denotes not one particular law nor collection of laws, but the entire body of principles, rules, and statutes, whether written or unwritten, by which the public and private rights, the duties and the obligations of men, as members of a community, are defined, inculcated, protected, and enforced. William Ramsey, A Manual of Roman Antiquities, pages 285-286, from 1894. So are we having fun yet? You guys see where I'm going here?
Yeah, this is mind-boggling. Continue.
Okay.
Yep.
Effectively, I'll put it in very simple terms for people. You see, all this time we have been considered to be the beneficiaries of our parents' estates, which is actually opposite. You see, because under a ward of admiralty, the father, which is the seaman, and I mean that literally, that's why you got to pay attention to sight and sound. Seaman is the beneficiary of the constructive trust, or the fiduciary, which is what the mother is. You see, the mother, upon delivering a child, is a gift to the father because the father cannot self-procreate. Of course it's a gift. It's a gift of creation. And therefore, if he is the beneficiary, that makes him the heir. And of course, if he is the beneficiary and the sole heir of my birth, it would only make sense that they want the mom and dad to give up their rightful inheritance, their own children. You see, because creation works in reverse here, this planet's got it working backwards, because you look at our society, and basically as soon as the kids are old enough, they bail on their parents, right? Go figure, what are the odds? And really, the gift of life that is given to each one of us from our parents, we have a creative duty in terms of being full of gratitude to have this life, this game, to return some of that. Because for the first, let's say 15 to 20 years of a person's life is spent in the care of the parents, which is a lofty responsibility, as any parent will attest to. And that's not to say that the children at that point must start taking care of parents. This is not a trading slave for slave here. This is where the children get the opportunity to carry on with their lives just as the parents do, because we're still in the prime of our lives here. At which point, when the parents can no longer take care of themselves and the kids have been able to set up, have been given a life, and hopefully help from their own parents, to return that in one form or another, instead of shipping mom or dad off to a nursing home. And in my case, both my parents are dead. There's nothing I'd love more than to be able to take care of either one of them, or both. It'd make for a great Christmas, That truly is the gift. But you see the mirror, how it's happening here, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes it to a whole new realm, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
It starts to make sense as to why they wanted to take over the birth bonds, because they're still with birth bond being given up, our parents gave up their inheritance, their own children, and their ability and all the creations that their children would normally be able to flow back to them has been flowed to the abusive parents. And I do have a couple of really neat little things in here that I love to share. And this, I found all this stuff, with help of other people, that got this rabbit trail started. As soon as I saw it, it was like, oh my God, no wonder we missed this. Because it is so abstract, it is so outside the box, it's very easy to miss. Now, the claim that this is part of my research, of course, the other morning I was, how did it get to the point where the parents are assumed to be the crown? And I thought, okay, well, I remember back in the movie Braveheart, there's that Eddie Longshanks again, where he declared prima noctis, which, according to Black's law, is a supposed custom. But customs are always superior to laws. That's why it's important to get things through customs. Always superior. So the custom was that on the wedding night, the bride, well, I'll read you the droit de seigneur, which is this, or where was it? Yeah, a supposed customary right, historical. This is from Black's Law. Historically, a supposed customary right of a feudal lord to have sexual intercourse with a tenant's bride on her wedding night. 2, a supposed custom requiring sexual abstinence by a couple on their wedding night, also spelled droit de seigneur, also termed prima noctis. Now, when you get into the assumption or the ambiguity aspects of a lord of a region going out and shagging every new maiden on our wedding night, that would lead one to think that the bloodlines of all the families have been tainted. So it could be assumed to a reasonable degree that who knows whose parent is who, right? You got yourself a virile lord that's out there shagging 40 or 50 new brides in a year. The odds of him striking gold at least once in that are pretty good. That being said, of course, then with Edward I having kicked out all the Jews, he also at that same time took on all of the contracts that were outstanding that the Jews had with people. You see, because Christians weren't allowed to charge usury, but Jews were. They did that regularly. That's part of how they made money. And people like Eddie Longshanks, good Christians, would use the Jews to profit, letting them do all the contract work, and they would take all the benefits. Therefore, somehow, deeming themselves clean of having charged usury, which is bullshit anyway. But so my feeling on it, the intuitive, and the trail I followed was the fact that if there was enough ambiguity there, the Crown could assume that pretty much every child who knows, right? Who knows who's the parent of who, and just cast a blanket across the entire realm. And then of course I watched this clip, and the guy that played Eddie Longshanks did such a great job in Braveheart. But the one thing that stood out to me was, if we can't drive the Scots out, we'll breed them out. And I thought, oh, there's a perfect ploy. Breeding acquiescence. And then, so I pondered on it, and of course later that night, about maybe 12 hours later, I thought, well, I'm going to watch The Postman. I remember seeing it a long, long time ago, and it wasn't really that fresh in my mind, so I thought, well, I'm going to watch it again. So I fired this thing up, and lo and behold, about 3/4 of the way through the movie, the bad guy, called Bethlehem, what are the odds, starts talking to Kevin Costner's character, the postman, and says to him, you're living in a feudal system, and I'm a feudal lord, and I think, I'm going to invoke prima noctis. And I'm thinking, okay, that's a coincidence. Not. Anyway, so I had the confirmation and everything else. So, moving on up the line, with all the contracts grabbed by Edward Longshanks, nobody knew what the contracts were, and then it gets up to Richard I, and he commands that all these contracts, denominated the star contracts, had to be placed in chests under 3 keys in specific places, one of which is the King's Exchequer at Westminster. And if it hasn't been placed there, those contracts, also known as birth certificates, long form, that have the 12 dots in mind for the private, where the date should be, has never been placed in a lawful repository. Therefore, it is not a lawful document. And everything created off of that document is illegal, unlawful, and pure fraud. This is how we've been committing fraud from day one, without ourselves knowing. But even more importantly, the system has been committing fraud on a grand scale. And not only that, they're aiding and abetting all of us into their fraudulent practice. So we're, by using the name, we're as guilty as they are. However, the difference being is this. Because they're the ones doing the aiding and abetting, there has to be other things that fall into place, such as, like I said, kidnapping by cesarean. Grab a Black's Law knife and look it up. You'll see for yourself. It's all there. I have got, I don't even know how many references I've placed in this, but all of these came out of things from, especially the cartoon Gravity Falls. And isn't it funny that the postman is I guess his girlfriend in the movie ended up being his wife. Her name was Abby. At one point he's walking along and he says, "Have you ever been to St. Rose, Abby?" And I thought, oh, that's interesting. But he was also talking about St. Rose, Oregon. And it's just a coincidence that the cartoon, Gravity Falls, is based in Oregon. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, so there's lots of tie-ins here. Again, just following my nose. And by the way, a key point that Richard made the other night, Tony, I don't know if you caught it or not, but when I tell people to follow their nose, what I'm actually telling them is because the tip of your nose is, what does it tie into in the human body, Tony? Do you remember?
The heart?
The heart. So follow your heart. Follow your nose. Toucan Sam told us. That was in a commercial for Fruit Loops, for crying out loud. Here's a couple of. I'll read a few things for everybody here, just to give you an idea of where these things come into play. International Parental Kidnapping Crime Act of 1993, a federal statute that implemented the Hague Convention on Civil Aspects of International Child Abduction. That's the Section 18 United States Code, right? See Hague Convention on the Civil Aspects of International Child Abduction cases, kidnapping. So there's a lot of shit coming down the pipe for these guys. All right, I'll give you a couple of little. Here's the definition of a birth certificate. Now, of course, it says states and everything else, but you have to remember that every law that was ever created was created through the Bar Society, and every law on this planet is applicable to everyone on this planet because we're living in that one world government of the legal system. If you're a lawyer, you have to pass the bar in the City of London. Sorry about that, guys, the state thereof. So here's what a birth certificate is. So keep in mind, this applies worldwide. A formal document that records a person's birth date, birthplace, and parentage. In all 50 states, an adopted child, now pay attention, this is so critical, adopted child receives a second birth certificate reflecting his or her adoptive parents. In such a case, the original birth certificate is usually sealed and can be opened only by court order. Some states allow limited access, depending on the year when an adoptee was born and sometimes on whether the birth parents consent. The trend today is to open records if, one, both the child and the biological parent consent, for example, through an adoption registry, or two, the child requests and upon notification, the biological parent does not veto the request. Oregon enacted the first statute to permit access to birth records upon the unilateral demand of the adopted child once the child reaches the age of majority. Did you hear that? Oregon enacted the first statute to permit access to birth records upon the unilateral demand of the adopted child. So here's the thing, guys. We're all adopted by the Crown. We all, because of this, have the right to unilaterally demand access to birth records. Well, those of us that have reached the age of majority, which obviously is 18, it might be 21 in the U.S., who knows, who cares, but whatever. Are we having fun yet? You guys there? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go, birth. I love this one. This is all Black's Law, guys, 9th edition. Birth, the complete emergence of a newborn baby from the mother's body. The quotation below states the traditional legal view of birth. In a few jurisdictions, the state of the law may be changing. In South Carolina, for example, a child does not have to be born alive to be a victim of murder. A woman can be convicted of fetal murder if her baby is stillborn because of the mother's prenatal drug abuse. Quote, for purposes of criminal law and also for those of property law, example, to become a holder of property and so transmit it again to new heirs, or to enable the father to obtain courtesy, love that, courtesy of his wife's lands, a birth consists in extrusion from the mother's body. So the birth consists of an extrusion from the mother's body, i.e., in having come into the world, if but a foot be unextricated, there can be no murder. The extrusion must be complete. The whole body of the infant must have been brought into the world, but it is not necessary that the umbilical cord should have been severed. And to be born alive, the child must have been still in a living state after having wholly quitted the body of the mother. And what I'd like to know is who gave the do not resuscitate order when we left the hospital. In my case, I was born in the house. But that was another thing that came up, do not resuscitate order. Let me see if I can find it here. Oh, here's the other thing, too. Presumption of paternity. This is the countermeasure. 1829, family law. The presumption that the father of a child is the man who, 1, is married to the child's mother when the child was conceived or born. And that is the first one. Okay? Even though the marriage may have been invalid, and there where they get the little loophole for the bastard children that the barons and the lords might have, given birth or caused to be born, right? 2, married the mother after the child's birth and agreed either to have his name on the birth certificate or to support the child. There's where the government walks in. Or 3, welcomed the child into his home and later held out the child as his own. Also termed paternity presumption, presumption of legitimacy, legitimacy presumption. See presumed father under father. Now there's a whole lot of stuff here, but here's the interesting thing. I had said about the Ward of Admiralty, a seaman. Now spell that S-E-M-E-N, and you'll actually start to see what is being said here. Lose the spelling, get out of the spell, and listen to the sounds. A seaman, so called because of the legal view that a seaman, in contractual matters, with an egg, I might as well say that so you get the picture here, in contractual matters, with an egg should be treated as a beneficiary and the other contracting party, i.e. the mother/egg, as fiduciary because of the perceived inequitability of their bargaining positions. The mother can procreate all by herself by a willful act. All women have this ability to conceive immaculately, all right? Whereas the male, the Cain versus the Abel, the Cain is the monster, the human, that is not able to self-procreate. That's the abomination. That is the mortality that has been brought into our game. So it's no wonder the patriarchal society we live in is so hell-bent on trying to control women, right? Here's another thing about wardship in copyholds. Wardship by which the lord is guardian of an infant tenant by special custom. Perhaps prima noctis? I put these all in order, by the way, so you'll have those that get a copy of this. Very few will, but I know a handful of people that will. So anyway, guys, your thoughts?
Let me just dip in there for a second. I've also come across, and I can't for the life of me remember exactly where it was, in historical records, the priest or the father, let's call it, that married the couple also had deflowering rights over the bride before the husband was allowed to touch her. Now, I can't remember where I've come across it, but I'm absolutely positive that was also linked into it as well, which brings it back into the church as well.
Oh, exactly. And I just noticed we have a caller here. Been waiting for about 10 minutes. I'm going to bring the caller on just to see if there's any questions or comments or if they're just listening. So bear with me, guys. Caller, area code 775-835. Questions or comments?
Yeah, hi there. I'm so glad to be on. I'm really excited. I haven't really got to talk to you guys before. I just want to say that you've all been an inspiration to me. I really look forward to all the information that you continue to put out there. With that being said, I just have maybe a comment that maybe hasn't been arisen before, at least I haven't heard it, was, the system, they're a bunch of criminals, okay? And when you try to put this kind of information into their face, they're criminals and they're not going to follow their own law, okay?
Here's where I need you to get outside the box. I agree with you totally if you're dealing in the physical game. Absolutely. But here's the game. It's a little different than most people can see. And the mere fact that this is being talked about right now is invoking it. You need to know that you are God. Okay, you have creation ability. And what they've taken from us is thinking that we can't beat them because somehow, they're physically stronger. No, we're all gods here. So I just want to bring that point. That's a valid point. I just want to bring that to the table because here's the thing. Under universal law, we're all bound. Them too. And that's what I've been working from, natural law, universal law, for a very long time, trying to find the ethereal rules of how to bring them back into the golden rule. So I totally agree. And welcome to the party. About time you showed up.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I appreciate that, and I totally understand what you're saying, but and I'm not contesting anything, but it's like, listen, I have a family, and I have to take care of them, and I would love to go out there and try to use all this information against them, and it would just make my family suffer, and I don't think it's fair to them for me and my, to go out there and use this this natural law and this universal law when all it's going to do is make my family. The CPS will come over and take my kids. They're going to make up some weird.
That's the fear paradigm, and I'm going to speak to you from complete experience of having been kidnapped at gunpoint, my house raided at gunpoint, my the most important people in my life cuffed and held at shotgun point, loaded, ready to rock. Having had my house stolen and having had my car, my truck, and everything you can imagine stolen. I understand what you're talking about, but I don't let that fear get in the way, because I'll tell you, the night I was down at the station, I let the cop know exactly who he was and who I was, and he got it. He got it real quick. And here's the thing: when you get to a certain level in this game of truth, peace, love, and honor, and that's the only thing that's going to protect anybody. Right, you can't go at this in a belligerent state. You have to go at it in complete peace, because you see, what we put out is what we get back. So I'm not at war with anyone. What I am is a mirror, and I'm going to show the mirror to everyone. It's nothing to do with me now. You see, they can do whatever they want. They've already done it, and the fact is, I'm still on the air. I'm still not stopping. So who won?
Well, my issue. It's not even an issue. Look, because I totally believe that everything that you guys have been talking about, and I try and tell it to my friends, family, neighbors, you name it. And it's just until the way I see it is until people really begin to understand who they really are, they're not going to get. They're just not going to get anywhere with this whole thing. So it's like I feel like I'm stuck in between a rock and a hard place. Should I make my family suffer because I want to go out there and be an activist, and spread peace, love, and joy, and they're just going to come with their guns and their grenades and their bombs and just raid me because I refuse to pay taxes. I refuse to, my main question is, how do I implement this from a person that is a family man and somebody that needs to look past themselves in order for their family not to suffer, in order to defeat this New World Order / globalist garbage that's going on?
Well, I'll be blunt with you. Exactly what you described is exactly what I went through, and what makes me any different than you or anyone else. It depends. By omission or commission of a crime, you're guilty. So if you know a crime is going on, you're doing nothing, you're as guilty as the criminal doing it. So therein lies your mirror, and this applies to everyone listening. This is not directed at anyone in particular. This is directed at myself first and reflected out to all others. At what point is your family more important than mine, that I had to go through the stuff that I did, 28 days solitary, claiming my house back legally, lawfully in all matters, and I had them beat cold, and the only way they could take me down was by gunpoint. You see, so again, what do you want out of your script? Do you want to continue in fear? Yeah, go ahead, Tony, jump in.
I was just going to add to that. Let me give you a scenario, okay? When you jump in your car and you drive down the street, you don't necessarily think of the guy who invented the engine, or you don't necessarily think of the inventor of the carburetor, or the steering column, or the differential gearing system in the car. But the point is, you need to start with something solid in order to build on that solidity until the point where we've got something that we can actually say, right, we can build a car and mass-produce cars. So what we're doing is working on the inner workings and the inner sanctum, if you like, of what's gone on, how it's gone on, how it came to happen in the first place, and the workings from it. In other words, it's the old mechanic analogy. I can drive my car up to a mechanic's front porch, park it on his porch, walk him through the office and say, someone up with my car, can you fix it? He's going to look at me and say, I haven't got a clue, I need to look at it first, what's wrong with it? So, we are looking at what's wrong with it, Once we found out what's wrong with it, we'll get back to you and tell you how we can fix it and how much it's going to cost.
Yeah. Well, the way I see it is I'm pretty much surrounded by a bunch of zombies that basically go along and get along as long as everyone's happy and they got their hot dogs and iPhones and their TV. Everybody's just great.
So tell me
exactly,
exactly then why you feel the need to help them. You know what I say now? I said, oh well, moving on. That includes family members and friends. I mean, the closest people in my life are the ones that failed the highest. They ran the furthest, the highest, and the fastest from me. So, and all I'm doing now is making sure that they will benefit from the truths that I'm standing in. I will not yield truth. That's the bottom line with me. To the death, my friend. This is where I stand. And until more of us stand and do that, expect more of the same every day. So the responsibility is upon you. And we have a responsibility upon our awakening to stand on that truth, or we are as guilty as the criminals pulling the triggers, shooting 9-year-olds.
Well, I just want to. I'll leave you guys with this. I listen to this. I do this basically on pretty much all the free time I have. I'm awake. I'm just trying to find my place in humanity. I feel like a needle in a haystack, and I'm sure that most of us kind of feel that way. A lot of people just haven't figured that out yet. But I'm going to continue to do what I can at my capacity in order to spread the information and educate other people on the truth. And I thank you guys so much for doing what you do. And may everybody prosper and live happily in this chaotic world that we live in. Thank you very much. I appreciate your guys' time. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. I'll put you back on hold. Are you listening to the show through the phone or?
Well, you're on my Facebook, Kate.
Oh, okay.
So I got the link on Facebook, and I just happened to listen in, and I was compelled to call, and because I believe that
follow your heart.
You're doing a great thing. So.
Well, so are you. Follow your heart. You called in. You made a difference. And remember, the only one that you have to save is you. And in doing so, you become the example. It's like on an airplane. In the case of decompression in an airplane, they tell the parents to put the mask on first before putting on the child, because if they put it on the child and then the parent succumbs, they're lost. So that's all we just have to be in that mindset. So it's baby steps. And again, none of us are expected to save the world, but we are expected to save ourselves, and in doing so become the example for others to follow, and that's the changing of the consciousness. We are all one. We are all interweaving threads of this beautiful fabric, and what we have decided to do is to change the pattern into something a little bit more aesthetic, a little bit more loving, versus the dark matter that we've been dealing with for the last couple of millennia.
I couldn't have said it better myself, Kate. You guys have a great night, and I will continue to listen to this great information. Thank you.
We'll share our best, my friend. Thank you for calling in. I'll put you back on hold, so do what you want.
Okay.
Okay.
Reference that, just before Santo comes in, I would actually say as well, it's about the consciousness. I keep coming back to it, and I'm going to continue to keep coming back to it. Because once you're conscious of these things, it explains it a lot easier. It's easier for you to comprehend what's going on. There's lots of different aspects that we all need to become conscious of, from medicines, vaccines, law, the letter of the law, the words, how they all fit. So there's lots of pieces in this mega puzzle. So it's no good just concentrating on one piece or a couple of pieces, because you'll never fit them together. What we need to do is, one step at a time, put those pieces into place. Right, I've looked at that, I understand it. Let's put it over there, and let's look at the next piece, and the next piece, and the next piece. And it's when you can do that you can put your pieces together and you get a conscious picture of how it all fits. So keep doing what you're doing. You're on the right track. It's all about consciousness. Today you're looking at law. Tomorrow you might be looking at free energy or anything. It's all good stuff, but just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely. It's about, really, what it boils down to for me is once you get to a level of awakening, all you have to do is hold. And that was a line in The Postman. I loved it. All you have to do is hold on. And that's it. Because once you get to a place that you're unshaking, you become a very stable frequency that resonates. And those that are below your frequency, once you become the dominant one, which the truth always is, they will rise to you. And as soon as you become that beautiful light, the moths will come to you anyway. It's not your job or anyone's job to try and save anyone. We've all done it. We've all had ourselves beaten down for daring to, think that being ignorant isn't cool. And that's really what the system has done. It's just sold us on the fact that, being stupid and being ignorant and being a slave is cool. That's all. It's no difference. Your comments, Santo or Tony?
Yeah, look, I understand the caller's frustration because the system is absolutely cruel. It's cruel because if one is able to liberate themselves from the lower mind and the get along, what was the expression he used? Get along to... what's the attitude of the
go along to get along.
Go along to get along. Yeah, I mean, if you are able to bust their system, and you walk into court and you've called them out and you know how their system works, you should be able to just walk out and be left alone. But the system goes after the people who are leading the way in exposing the system. They don't go after people who are just going along, and got their hot dogs and and all their little tricks from this system. So, and that's how cruel it is, because that's why the caller was frustrated. He's worked it out. He's aware. He looks around. And everybody's sleeping. But the system leaves those people alone because they conform and they're supporting the system. They target guys who have worked it out like you and I, because we can be dangerous to them and to their money supply. So, and it should be the other way around. You see, when you crack the code and when you break, that knot, that Gordian knot, you should be able to be set free. This is how the mystery schools worked. Once you did all your graduating, and if you could, undo the riddles, like the Sphinx, for instance, has his riddle, right? And whoever guessed the riddle was able to go free. Whoever couldn't guess it was killed instantly. So, they're able to perpetrate their magic on the sheeple because they haven't put any time or energy or intent or will to try and unlock the system and get out of it. And so they are under the system because of their own ignorance, which is really unfair too. It really is. But I mean, if one has been diligent enough in their life to be able to elevate themselves above the system, then they should be able to be let go. But what they do is they grab these people, put them in jail, put them in mental asylums, and so that sends a signal to the sheeple down the line. And so what happens is, like in your case, for instance, Kate, you've worked out all these things, you've done a wonderful thing, and as soon as you did, the Deneke ultimatum document went out, they came after you. And then they came after your family and scared your family and broke up your family. And this sends a signal to your family, and so your family's now scared. You're not, but they are. And this is what they do, and they shouldn't be doing this. This is how cruel the system is. But they can't afford to, because once you and I are able to break free from the system and teach other people, then they won't have any other people left to harvest. But they are breaking the law. And the law is to be found, that law is in their own Bible, which they use. Because in the Bible, there are laws where the Jews who are not a race, by the way. It's a caste, and the Jews means the higher-minded ones, the ones that are called. There's the captive, and then there's the called, and then there's the chosen. So the chosen ones, the Jews, are the ones who have reached the higher mind. Now, they were allowed to, for instance, give pork to the Gentiles, but they were not allowed to eat pork. Why? Well, because the Gentiles are the people, the sheeple, who are not awake. So they're not ready. They're not ready for the good things. So it's not a crime for them to eat pork. It's not a sin. They're in ignorance. But if you know that it's wrong to eat pork in this system, then it's a sin for you to eat pork, right? And so instead of encouraging and allowing ones like you and I who have cracked the system and want to be free and deservedly should be set free because we've done our time and we've put in due diligence to study the system and escape from it, rather than letting us go, which is what they should be doing, they are being dishonourable. And it sends a signal down the line, and this is why sheeple just look up and go, oh, well, that sovereign was put in jail because of this, that, and the other, so it's not worth it, you know. And this is why we must make as many people as conscious as possible, because then they must let them free. They must.
They just picked, exactly. I was going to say, all they did with me is they picked on the wrong bitch, that's all. I'm Irish, I'm stubborn. I don't lose. To the death.
I think they made that mistake with all of us, didn't they?
Yeah, absolutely they did.
It's always a mistake. It's always a mistake when they put one of the true liberated ones in jail or in a mental asylum or whatever. It's always a mistake, and yet their system is so corrupt and so cruel that, and by the way, they get bitten too. I'll tell you what, judges get thrown into jail too for, breaking their own codes. Here in Australia, one judge went to jail for, a very high judge too, high-ranking judge. He went to jail for 2 years because he told a little fib in court with regard to one of his speeding photographs. So no one's really free of this system, and it's so cruel, and yet they're happy to continue running the system because not enough people are conscious of what's going on. So the most important thing we can do is spread the word and get as many people as conscious as possible. Then we tip that point. We tip it over where it's too late, and they will keep fighting until the end, until we break through the breaches and we hit critical mass. And that's what we've got to do unrelentingly. We have to just continue on, no matter how much we suffer. And we've all suffered. We've all suffered because of this. Some of my family members, who are watching what I do, they often, will make negative comments in my earshot, so that, but look what you've done now. You've created all these other problems now because you did this, that, and the other, and you're talking about sovereignty and all of this and freedom, and because they're still happy to stay in the lower mind, and it's only a matter of reaching out to those ones by example.
Oh, exactly. I want to bring to attention a lot of the words you've used. Most people are probably not hearing them the same way I am. Use the word to be a Jew it's not a religion, it's a caste. So are you part of the caste, or are you part of the crew? And that's what we're dealing with here. And when you have a mistake, just like in theater, you have to go back and shoot it again. And this brings in the time travel, time jumping aspect that they like to play with, and that's the only thing they've got to keep this game in the dishonorable condition it is, because every time a time jump is made, timelines change. And they've done it to me. I've exposed this before in other shows. Tony, they've done it to you numerous times. But here's the thing. Once you become aware of it, they can't jump you anymore. And when I make other people aware of the timeline jumps that they did to me, I bring them into my timeline, and that's just one more chaos they have to solve. And the problem, when you're dealing with paradox of timelines, universal law, just like in Gravity Falls, the universal baby, which is God. It's funny as hell if you look at which one was it? The time-traveling pig one. Honestly, and the clues I got from that, pay close attention to any time they say things 3 times. And look up the closest thing you can find in Black's Law. That's where I found the Wade. Where was it? Let me just bring it up again. The pig's name is Waddle, and she says the pig's name 3 times. So I thought, okay, well, like Beetlejuice. So I looked those up as well, and look what I come up with. It all factors into exactly what I'm writing here. Where was it? This is actually really cool. And when you start seeing this, you start understanding what the game is all about. I don't think I put it in this one. Bishop's Court, no. Anyway, all the things around you factor into this. So, think, when you're thinking of the game on Earth here, think in terms of a theatrical performance. And are you part of the cast? Or are you part of the extras? Are you part of the crew? Are you a director? Are you a producer? And what's happened here is we're dealing with entities that have decided to make themselves producer and director. And that's one of the reasons why the false flags that you see going off all over the place are all theatrics, in as much as the exposure of no planes having hit the Twin Towers. That's been you see the video jumps, and again, most people saw that on video. Not many people actually witnessed it firsthand. And if they did, you might want to look up Project Bluebeam and start to get an idea of the level of theatrics that these guys can pull off now. And they can build entire cities. Yeah.
I'll just interrupt there because for the simple reason, if most people just sort of like glance over their shoulder and look at what looks like a plane traveling through the air with noise coming from it that sounds like a plane, the old saying, it looks like a plane, or it looks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? That's the automatic assumption that people make. Now, I'm going to disappear for a second now and go and get a link. And when I give you this link, we can put it into the chat room. And when people watch this link, they will undoubtedly understand that they were not planes. They were holograms. And this is categoric. I'll state everything on it. Right? So I'll go get the link.
Yeah, and it looks like we lost Santo there on the board, and I'll just wait until we get him back. Again, guys, we're in Oz. Okay, look at the word Zion in Oz. Just rearrange the letters. They like doing that a lot. You are literally in Oz. And when you start seeing this for the theatrical performance that it really is, that the only thing that makes it feel real is the fact that you're walking around in a shadow called a meat stick. And another thing I will mention as well, for those that like to eat pork, they call it the other white meat for a reason, because it is the closest thing you will find to human flesh. One of the reasons why they take insulin from pigs, because our DNA is so closely matched to the pig, you might as well be eating a human as eating a pig. And that's one of the reasons why it's forbidden in Islam and in Judaism to eat pork, because that's exactly what it is. And isn't it interesting to note in Gravity Falls that the focus on that time travel one was a pig called Waddles. And when you start really seeing past the entertainment and the entrainment that it consists of, once you see past that and start looking at it with eyes of a child with the learned aspect of the adult, then you'll start putting the pieces together, and the coincidences start showing up in such an order and such magnitude. I'm telling you, I can't get 6 minutes in any one of these cartoons, and I've already looked up maybe a dozen or 24 references, because one reference leads to the next, and I follow the rabbit trails. I follow the yellow brick road. The whole illusion of the straw man and from the Wizard of Oz is the fact that they've got everyone thinking that they can fight in a legal system, which you can't. You see, that's all pure fraud. And what I was after from day one was to see not how they are in dishonor. That was pretty evident, cops tasing grandmothers and judges throwing people into jail for years at a time for daring to have a naturally grown plant, not like it was something they built, and making it illegal. I mean, this is the farcical and ludicrous state that we have allowed ourselves to get into. And the difference here is the fact that we are awakening in grand fashion. see, because what we're dealing with right now is we're in the 3 days of darkness. We're in the tomb. And this is why I am so heavily focused right now on shedding as much light as I possibly can during this window to get this light out, because this is the 3 days of darkness that the elites like to use for their benefit. So I'm just nullifying it this time. So my Christmas present is not just for my own kids and Sue and all those around me that I love directly. It's for everyone, because I love everyone directly. I may not have met you, but I certainly love you, because you're a thread of me. I'm a thread of you, and all I'm trying to do now is weave brand new fabrics. So the more threads that I can, mesh with, because we're all finally allowing ourselves to weave in and out of each other, the better our fabric's going to be. That's the critical mass. That's when we finally have the apocalypse, which is the covering. We take our own apocalypse, which is a leather covering, and place it over theirs, and put it out of view once and for all. Anyway, Tony, you there? Oh, you must have went out to find that link.
Yeah, do apologise.
Okay.
I was on mute.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
Making sure I got the right link.
Not a problem. Yeah, I'm just, I've got the chat room open up on my other computer, and I'm not near it right now, so I'm going to open up the chat room on this computer. I work my little laptop so hard. Actually, most of the work I do is done on a notebook. So, so don't tell me you need a supercomputer to do this, because I've been staying on the air with this little thing for, well, pretty much since, I guess, April. So, brought to you by a little tiny Hewlett-Packard notebook. Anyway, that's what I want to do. I want to get to the Freedom Reigns chat, and by all means, get over there if you can, and get your 2 cents in. Just go to freedomreigns.us and click on the chat button, and you'll get there. All right, let me see. Freedom Reigns. Let's go to, whoops, hit the wrong one. Freedom Reigns chat. Okay. Anyway, just want to see what people are saying, and I want to see if I'm getting through to people here. Guys, this game is stranger than you could imagine. In such a beautiful way, because once you start to see it and you realize that it's just a stage, it's just a show. I like your comment there, Billy. Franco Collins. Yeah, well, Franco Collins and his crew are about ready to sell out for $8 million a piece, thinking that they're actually winning. Fools. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's definitely Lad. Let it out. You're in good company, and I'd like to say hi to the Lad and Ragdoll and Billy and who else we got in the room. Mother Mac. All right, everyone's here. Cindy, hi. Yeah, love it when people are ranting away in the chat room. So again, it's easier for me to say hi to you guys instead of trying to type here. But Tony, where are you at? Have you got that link yet so I can share it?
Yeah, I'm just running through it now. There's a couple I'm just trying to make absolutely sure I've got exactly the right bit so I can refer to it directly. Yeah,
no problem. No problem. Santo had to leave, and he'll explain later. No problem. I'm actually just happy that Santo got in and got his tuppence in there. But again, it's really, the situation that we're dealing with right now is so surreal, and I'm just a messenger, guys, okay? It's the job of the Gemini to download and upload, wear the telephone, okay? So that's why there is a lot more onus placed on Geminis. Any Geminis listening, pay attention, please, because we are the direct, as per design in the Zodiac, it's how it works. It's not, we're special. No, it's just our job. It's like, think of a company with 12 positions. Everyone of the company is absolutely critical for the running of the whole company. It's just that, we're reception, basically. Anyway, for lack of a better way to put it. But, yeah,
okay.
Honestly, yeah. Oh, you ready? You got it?
No, I'm still looking for the link, but there's probably about 8 or 9 videos there. It's one of these, and it was only a couple of weeks ago. But the evidence, when you actually watch this video, you see clear as a bell that the holographic plane went into the building, and then after the plane had gone into the building, there was explosions, a series of explosions that went off and made the holes that looked like there were damage. to the building.
Yeah, I saw a lot of video reports on that, and the analysis and breakdown of how it was completely staged. I mean, the buildings came down with it was demolition. There was no planes for those buildings, guys.
We've gone over this with a fine tough comb. There's no question about it anyway. But the point being, we'll get that video up there. But the whole point of where we're going with this stuff is that we have technology available to some of us, not us down here on the ground, but there is a branch of the human race that's actually got and had this technology for a very long time. Now, I go into great detail with this in the book, and I just please, everybody download this book, okay, and please pass it to somebody else. It doesn't matter who it is, call your neighbour or whatever, especially if you know somebody that's interested in the reality and trying to find out what's going on. Please go to awakeconsciousawareness.com, and we can put the link in the chat room for you, and download Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness, because once you've even skimmed through this book, it's only 250 pages long per part, and it's 2 parts. Once you've skimmed through this book, you will get it big time. You won't necessarily get the bond truth and how all of this in-depth study that we're doing actually, you see, what we're discussing on air with the bonds and these things are the master classes at what we're talking about. The Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness, and you can Google it, you'll find it, will explain to you how we got to this point, because what it details is hidden technology, including technology from Area 51, free energy, and many, many, many other topics, okay? And it will explain A, B, C, D, E, F, G, how this journey began from the start, and where it's ending up, and what it actually leads us to. Now, let me ask you a question just briefly. Who plugged the sun in to a wall socket to make it work? It's a ridiculous question, isn't it? So when you understand the fact that all the stars are operating on free energy, in other words, nobody's paying them cash, yeah? This is not about paying the star to shine. Stars shine anyway. The question is, why did we believe that stars didn't shine? And that's where we get into conditioning, programming, brainwashing, and this whole thing, and this whole play that's led out to what we have today, and the sheer unbelievability of it all, because it's massive, and also time travel, as we've discussed. We have these things. Not only have we got them, but we've had them for a very, very long time. We managed to build the pyramids before we actually, we got a precursor of the human race got away with this kit a long time ago. And ever since then, the Incas, the Aztecs, the Mayans, Egyptians, Sumerians, go back as way as you want to look. We've had technology way beyond our wildest dreams, and we, at the moment on this planet, are just coming to the conscious realization that we are slaves. And we're looking now at how we've been enslaved, how they pulled it off, what technology they used, and then how to get out of it. So it's a big old story. You're not going to get to the bottom of this in 5 minutes. It's taken decades and decades of research from all of us, different people from different aspects, astrotheology, physics, science, history, versions of history that we thought were historical that actually turned out to be it turned out to be fiction, but we were sold a story. The media's controlled. It's everywhere. So Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness, please just download a copy. It won't cost you anything. Okay, it's completely free of charge, and it's interactive, so you won't even need to read a lot. You just read a paragraph, click a link, and it will take you to the lectures. It will take you to the science. It will take you to the total bona fide proof that what we're talking about in every little bit is correct. And it's only when you've got all those pieces that you can start putting the picture together. Then when you've got, right, I've got that picture, then you can really start digging into how it went, how it came about, and that's what Kate and Santos are doing. And this is, I mean, I just got a blanket picture, and I've gone, holy cow, what a picture. And then I've looked to Kate, and then I've looked to Santos to take my picture further. But I had to have my picture in my comprehension before I could delve deeper and go on to the expert class and then the master class. What we're discussing is the master class. What we need to get across to people that maybe don't actually understand it, comprehend it, can't quite get their heads around it, or even don't believe it. Fine. Blueprints of Cosmic Consciousness. Please download it and share it with as many people as you can. We've got 3 days now to change this stuff. If we can get that out there, it doesn't cost anything. I'm not going to make a fortune. It's got nothing to do with any of that. It's about consciousness. Okay, so...
Well, I'll tell you, I won't be getting a whole lot of sleep over the next couple of days because I'm pumping everything I can into the Akashic as fast as I can. We have a couple of callers here. I just want to check in, see if they have questions or comments, Tom. Is that okay? You good?
Of course it is, yeah, far away.
Okay, no, it's that courtesy thing we talked about earlier. I know, shut up, Kate. I get it.
Indeed.
It's all good. Thank you. Anyway, we got 15 seconds apart here, so I have to go to the oldest one. Area code 417-334. Your mic is going hot. Should be right about now. Yeah, it's hot now. So do you have any questions or comments? Area code 417-334.
I do. This is Spirit Dancer. How are you today?
Oh, hey. How's it going, kiddo?
Wonderful. I have a couple of comments to make, and then I have a possible solution. The caller was calling in, was very frustrated about what can I do, how can I help, and then Santos mentioned something that I had a conversation with a friend of mine today about the fact that they're in dishonor and that it doesn't seem that even they'll honor their own, but they don't honor us. And so we had this discussion about, okay, what can we do about it? How can we find a way to send a karmic backlash back at them? And 2 years ago, I was given a vision in the middle of the night by a being that came to visit me in a dream, and was shown this a process I call it blue light and love, and the reason it's blue light is because blue is a disinfecting light. And so if you're in a situation where you need to be disinfected, the blue light will do that. But if you're also if you're pure and there are no germs, if you want to call it germs, if there's nothing there that needs to be disinfected, then it won't hurt you at all, right? So that's what blue light does. So I was given this vision about taking the blue light and surrounding it with these dark people that literally don't have any light in them at all. And when I saw that happen and I was told to put this blue light around them, I did it. And I saw this man turn into this squirming thing trying to get out of this, this light, this love and light that was around him. He couldn't stand it. And I said, what's going to happen to him? And I was told, he has two choices. He can change or he can die. And he will die if he doesn't change. And I went, oh, okay. So the next person I was taken to was somebody who was more, had a little bit of light but a little bit of dark. So there was big blotches on him. I did the same thing with that one because I was told to do that. And all these black blotches blew off of him, and he turned into a being of light. And I thought, wow, that's really cool. And so I thought we were done. And the last one, this being told me, let's go. I got one more person to show you. And I said, but there isn't anybody else. And they said, oh, yeah. And I was taken to a man with his hands in the air, and he had this beautiful light on his face, and he had light all over him. And I said, oh, my gosh, this man doesn't need it. Just cover him with the blue light and love. I said, okay. So I covered him with blue light and love just like I did the others. And what ended up happening was this power source tapped into him, and it came from all over the universe, tapped into him, and he became a very powerful being because, see, the light didn't hurt him. The light made him stronger and made him more powerful. So what I was going to say is all everybody needs to do is just start sending blue light and love to all these dark people, and you can send them to the good people too. Everybody needs it. But when you send it to the dark people, they have two choices: to change or die. And it's not a game anymore, because I've been doing this, and I have friends and a team of people that work with me with this, and we've seen them die, and we've also seen them completely get delivered, and we've seen them being empowered. And so there's your answer. At least it's one answer, and one that I use. So I just wanted to share that with everybody because it absolutely works.
Oh, awesome! I'll leave your mic open, so hang out there for a bit. We got about half an hour left anyway, so I'll bring the other caller in. Great, and again, that's just pure logic. You know, and this is not about seeking vengeance on one's enemy. This is about showing the compassion of unconditional love. And again, with me, with anyone I deal with, there's two things that I can be for you. I can be your best friend, strongest ally, or your worst nightmare. Choose. It's your choice. I'm good either way. This is I chose and to stand in truth, and nothing comes against it. And like I said, I stand opposed. I shall not yield. None shall pass. And I'm talking about none in the Egyptian sense of going across all the evil and destroying it. So none shall pass. I will pass that over. But again, the choice is always the individual. I will not trespass in the free will choice of those that have come into my sphere, my aura, my gold of Ra, aura. And if they choose to harm me, then their karmic lashback is by their own choice. This is not something I would do to them, and this is the line that I've drawn in my own proverbial sand, in that all are welcome to my table. I urge all to come to my table, and those that wish me harm, I hug them the tightest. I want to know you, and upon knowing you, then I know how to love you, or you will learn how to destroy yourself. One of the two. So I'll bring this caller in. Area code 218-245. Your mic is now hot. Questions or comments?
Yeah.
Hello, area code 218. You're on the air.
Oh, hi, Kate.
Hi, how are you?
I'm Elisa from Minnesota. We're up in the Wizard of Oz land.
Oh, yeah. That's the peace tag that I've been getting?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, isn't that funny, huh? Just a coincidence.
You would think it's crazy, too, because our email's in truth. That last caller gal that was on, it's like we're asking her to send blue light our way. We've had a lot of crazy events happening throughout the last few years. We didn't mean to pick the scab off so much. We thought we were doing the right thing by exposing stuff here, and I guess we really pissed them off. And so when she talked about how she had her dreams, I've had dreams too, but some of my dreams weren't so nice. And so we just, wanted to ask that you guys can send blue light our way, because we've got more public officials after us that are all dark than you guys can imagine.
Hey, Sandy.
I'm here. What's your name, sweetie?
My name is Lisa.
I was just going to say, you want to play the what do you call it? What was the two twins? Wonder Twins. Let's play the Wonder Twins. Let's create something for these guys, shall we?
Okay. What? Give me your name again, please.
It's Lisa.
Lisa?
Yeah.
Okay. And is there anybody else there with you, Lisa, that I need to work on? Tom. Okay. I'm going to just do this on the air. Can I just do this on the air so everybody can see what I do? I think this is really important because it does really work, and it is a very effective way of dealing with these dark forces. And the other thing I will say too, and that was something that Kate mentioned, and I will reiterate that, and that was I was told not to ever do this with vengeance in your heart, and always do this with love, because if you have bad feelings towards somebody when you're going to do this blue light and love, you want to step aside and not do it yourself, because it actually can bring a lashback on you, and we don't want, none of us want that. We want to always do this in love. So I've always made sure that I didn't have ill feelings before I do this. But I'm just going to do it on the air. I'm just going to do exactly what I was shown to do, and that is to take Lisa and Tom and to put them in a bubble of blue light and love 5 feet out in all directions. And
Can I ask,
right now, yes.
Can I ask you to surround our little girl Jordan with it too?
Absolutely.
Because
okay, this whole family
tormented us. We need it.
Okay, we're going to do that right now. We're just going to ask the universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is that you stand for, Mother Earth or Mother Father. And now my dog's going to start barking. I'm sorry. But hang on a second. What we want to do now is I want to take Jordan and Lisa and Tom, and I just want to surround them with blue light and love 5 feet out in all directions. And we just ask for protection, divine protection, and we just ask for guidance and direction, wisdom, knowledge, and all kinds of good things to happen in their lives right now. And we just release it to the universe now. Shakaha, seteha, ustihashika, oi. Okay, so now what we're going to do is you're just going to wait and rest in this because, it really is a powerful force. And I will continue to keep sending you energy so that we can see. And also, we're going to also silver violet flame all of those entities and people that have come against you. We just silver violet flame all of them, and we just ask for the silver violet flame to surround them and to keep them from doing harm to this family anymore, and we release that to the universe. Sokaha. Boy. Okay. Oh, it's still going. All right. So that's how I do it. That's what I do. I teach all the people that work with me to do this, and it's very effective. It really works, and you can do it yourself. You can surround yourself with the light and love, and it is a very protecting energy. And you have light beings that will surround your home. And another thing that's really helpful too, and Tony talks about this a lot, I set up a crystal grid underneath my bed, and Tony helped me do that so that it gives you an extra protection as well. So you can get in touch with me through Kate if you want. If you want me to help you with some things and to work with you some more, I'll be happy to do that.
We'd appreciate it.
That'd be great.
You're very welcome.
We send you our love because it's all we have left. But you know what? It's the greatest thing we could possibly see at this point. And we're very grateful.
We mirror it back to you because we're all in this together and we're all one, and we just have to stand on that premise that we're all one. And if there's other people out there listening to this show right now, I ask all of you to send that same love to Lisa and Tom and Jordan because they're going through some things right now because they've taken a stand for righteousness and for goodness, and those dark forces don't like that. And so, but we can surround them with love and protect them from it, and that's what we need to do. So everybody help, please.
Absolutely, and just so you guys know, Tom, Lisa, I thought you were actually in the Angels room, but you are now in, it's my personal Skype room. There's, I think, a couple hundred people in there. So you just got surrounded by a whole bunch of angels. I named the room Angels with Wings a long time ago. So, again, we are the gathering. We all have a specific job to do. We all have a specific thread, and all we're doing now is finally connecting with other threads of textures, and we're now weaving it together. And the more of us that weave together, the stronger our fabric becomes, to the point where nothing penetrates it. And that's really that's my prime objective, is to get as I'm the son and the daughter equally, right? So my job is to connect as many of those dots as possible. And when I see people, kindreds, I don't think there's anyone that I've talked to hasn't been connected to someone through me or as a net result of cross associations with many others. So and that's all I've been doing for the last couple of years is connecting people together and watching these beautiful orchards grow. And for the most part, it keeps me able to stay at my helm and stay focused on what I do best. And that's right. That's what I do. And I'm a hound dog investigator, and I don't stop until I find the bone. I don't care how deep that bone is down the rabbit hole. I will get it. And there's nothing going to stop me. And they've tried many times. And here's the thing: if they truly, truly could do anything to me, you honestly think they would have done something by now? You see, because we're living in an electric universe that all is known. There are no secrets here. There is no such thing as private in this universe because we're one consciousness, for crying out loud. So the game here is to expose all aspects of our consciousness and that part of ourself that we wish to improve upon. But keep in mind, again, though, we're in a game. It's a game. It's a ride. It's a show. Stop taking the drama so seriously, and you'll start seeing it, and that way you can start writing your own scripts. And I'm going to hopefully over the next little while make this clearer and clearer to people so that they can see the Matrix too. And it's quite something once you see it. And it's just totally trusting in your own heart and following your nose, which, as we talked earlier, the tip of your nose is connected to your heart. And isn't it funny that the nose on everyone is the thing that goes out first? It's the most outward projection we have, leading our body. So we're always leading with our heart. Now it might make sense as to why they call them nos trills or Gnostic trills. You see, because those are the trills of the heart. And when you know that the whole universe is ebb and flow, breathe in and breathe out, then you start taking control of your universe again. And I cannot implore people more than to spend a little time with themselves. Tongue to the roof of your mouth and just shut up. Download. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. It'll clear your thoughts, get rid of the chatter, all the distraction of the day-to-day tornadoes that we have got ourselves caught up in, and none of it really matters at the end of the day. And I tell you, the system has done everything in its power to try to break me. Taking my kids away and everything that was dear in my life, the insults and the thefts and all the rest of it. And I look at it, and all I have is unconditional love for these entities. And I surround them with this beautiful blue light. And it will be their choice. Again, I'm your best friend or your worst nightmare. Let's have a blue light special, shall we?
All right.
So Tony, you're awful quiet there.
Yeah, I've just posted the link in the chat room. I do apologise it took me so long to find it, but I had to go back through an archive. It took me a while to go through and just check to make sure I've got the right link. But in that link, you can clearly see that it's a hologram. I'm sorry. There's nothing I can say apart from it is. There you go.
Well, the whole thing's a hologram. And Lisa and Tom, I'm just going to leave your mic open, so if you want to jump in, we got like 20 minutes or 17 minutes left here, so we'll make this kind of a family event towards the end here. So, because I want everyone to know that, as Sandy said, I am completely accessible to anyone who needs to be accessible to me. I've always made a point of that. Might not always be right away because I do get inundated with a lot of stuff. And the universe does keep me a little sheltered in that regard to allow me to do the work I do, but I am here. And I just want to make a point of that so that anytime you have any doubts whatsoever, all you got to do is think and I'm there. Promise.
Thanks. We really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you.
He's not kidding.
Well, sometimes it's like we feel like we're on an island on our own because we said, we went outside the box so far and so many people are so afraid. And once they saw something happen to us, then they all ran even faster away. But
that's by design, Bob.
Yeah.
That's by design. Don't let it get to you.
No, it's that line in The Postman here. Always remember this. And I love this because it hit me at a moment that I needed it the most. Don't kid yourself. I have my up and down days too, okay? And I know it's an illusion, all right? but the line was this. When Abby went up to Kevin Costner and said, he said, I'm not very good at dancing. He says, well, all you have to do is hold on. And that's the moment that hit me was exactly what I needed, because that's where I was, to know that all I have to do is hold on. And that's all you have to do, just hold your position. We don't have to do any more advancing. And I'm going to continue to run down the yellow brick road anyway, because I'm a crazy bitch. But the thing here is all you have to do is hold. And once you hold that resonant frequency long enough, those that aren't quite up to your resonance will be forced into resonating with you, because they see the strength. And you got to remember, your aura that you generate goes out for many miles. You affect a lot of people, and you are at effect by a lot of people if you don't keep that center of your own. And one of the things, excuse me, that they love to do is run interference on the reptilian brainstem. That's actually a transceiver. That's how they interrupt between our present from the higher self to the now. And what happens there is we get interfered with, and what we're doing when we're observing the now is we're actually observing the past, because it was already present. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everything that you're looking at is past tense. The present, like they say in the movies, Lionsgate Pictures, present. Well, what the hell did they present me? Right? I'm going to have a look at it in future sense instead of past tense. And what Tony was talking about earlier, and we'll bring it up again, is that when you're watching a movie, don't watch a movie from the angle that, oh, look, I can prove that this happened because of this. Look at it for, what the hell are they going to pull next?
Right.
You see, that's how you stop it.
That's how they have to do it. They have to tell you what they're going to do before you do it. That way, it's not their responsibility if you miss it. They're absolved. They're karmically free because you missed it. And that's the it's incredible. It's a really deep game, but that's the truth of it, you know.
But I'm wondering is if we catch it, are we not possibly putting karmic backlash on them?
Yep, absolutely.
Yes.
That's why we have to do it.
Yeah. So we have to be better at their game than they are. And
well,
that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, we have the advantage, by the way. You might not think that, but we do. Once you get into the matrix and see it from the present perspective, you start looking at things entirely differently and go, nope, not a chance, not on my watch. Nope, not on my watch. Nope, not on my watch. And as soon as you do that, it nullifies. They can't do it, because as soon as it's in the consciousness at all, it is done, kaput, finished, finito, the end. Dorothy is in the Emerald City, baby.
Right. Absolutely. That's what I'm always looking for, signs, and I take it off into the spiritual realm and deal with it, and it just doesn't happen. Or it changes what happens here. So, yeah, I do this. I just do it a little different way, but I do the same thing. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, during Hurricane Sandy, what was the only Hurricane Sandy I was focused on?
I got named Hurricane Sandy when the hurricane came.
Yeah.
I'm never going to live that one down, am I?
No, because I made damn sure that that's where my energy was going, because I know that during that whole fiasco of trying to generate the power by getting people to focus on it, right? Tony, what's the saying? When you're focused on something, where the energy...
attention goes, energy flows.
Right.
Exactly. So I put my energy and attention into a beautiful, South Pacific island with beautiful palm trees, a light breeze, deck chairs with pina coladas, and just really casual little waves coming on the shore. And, we had a lot of people focused on the storm, but I tell you, we knocked the shit out of it. I know that. There was a bunch doing that. And
let me just offer another perspective. And I spoke to Sandy about this, the way I had an inspiration. Now, we are everything. We are the creator. The creation is the universe. So the universe is within us, okay? We are one. We are all one. So what I did, instead of looking out at this big storm and trying to alter it, it's big and it's a bit heavy and it's got loads of power, I went within myself and pulled it away from the shores within myself, within my own being. So it became not massive, but minute. It's tiny. It's infinitesimally tiny, tiny, tiny. And that changed everything. For me, I just pulled it away from the shore. I went, no, I'm not having it. Have some of that.
Yep. That's what I did, too. I just sent it away. I sent it back out to sea and dissipated it and dissolved its frequency so it couldn't harm. And, you know, it still did some damage, but you know what? I don't think it did near the damage that they intended it to do. And it was done with, you know, HAARP and stuff like that. But that's not the point. The point is that we made a difference. We changed it. We changed the frequency of it. We changed the energy of it because of our focus. Good. I like it.
Hey, it works.
Works for me.
Yeah. It works great.
You know, that's a funny thing. You know, once, and I got to tell you guys, once you start getting into the headspace and you're there, you become the untouchable. You see, when you lose the fear, the invisible wizard is watching. He sees when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. And all I'm doing for the next 3 days is being Santa Claus, baby. That's my game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hey, jingle bells.
I guess I'm the jingles.
Frosty the Snowman, eat your heart out, baby. Give me that top hat. I got a few tricks of my own, baby. You know, and seriously, you got to get your inner child. Here's what had to happen with me is, you know, we come into the world, we're children, we're small, and oh my God, everything's great and wonderful. And then of course we get indoctrinated and blah blah blah, and then we kind of go up, get a bit older, and start scratching our head, going, this place is really messed up. But during the course of that growing up, we were able to develop our analytical, logical skills. Some you know, never lost that and became a total effect to it, i.e., ego, etc. But then what you have to do once you get all this beautiful intellectual knowledge is you got to find your kid again. And once you find your box of crayons in your coloring book, it all makes sense. You know, then you become Dorotheos, the door of God. And you are the door of God to your own Emerald City. Follow your nose. It's right. It always knows, right? It's your heart. Look at the Green Lantern. Another great movie. It was the only power in the universe that rivaled willpower was fear. The yellow ring of fear, you know. But you are the Green Lantern, so just be the Green Lantern, and then there we are with that beautiful blue light special going out, and we're the Green Lanterns of love. And as Billy was talking about the Great Gatsby, you know, the Emerald Easter egg, basically at the end of Daisy's Dock. By the way, Great Gatsby, I loved the book. We had to read it in school. But I actually really enjoyed it. A lot of the kids in my class hated it, but then I've always loved reading anyway. So, but just a great story, The Great Gatsby. So, yeah, listen, we got about 5 minutes left here, I guess. Let me just check. Oh, we got 7.5 minutes, so we're good. So, chatter away, guys. I've talked all night, so I'm just happy I was able to get the information out that I did regarding the birth certificate and that all things legal are complete fraud because your BC never made it through customs. And customs are always senior to law. Isn't that interesting? Anyway, carry on.
Also, like you say, once a fraud is revealed, it's a null and void. That's the beauty of it.
Well, and then the mirror kicks in.
Yeah, and karma.
And Tony should talk about the new site that we're building, which is called Synchronicity.com. It's going to have a lot of really interesting things in it. Kate's stuff, Santos, Tony's. I'm even posting a few things on there. So it's going to be real. It's going to be a real good site where everything's going to be all in one place.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. Just while the listeners are here, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention. One of them was Sandy's youngest or oldest, Sandy?
My youngest.
Your youngest. Would you like to give a shout out to him today?
Oh, he's probably not listening, but because he doesn't have access to internet. But for Michael, I want him to know that I love him. Today is his birthday. He is 21 years old. and he has just started getting turned on spiritually again, and it's so exciting to talk to him. And we jumped up and down with joy today, he and I, on the phone, when I told him, I said, look at that, the end of the world didn't come just like I thought, and guess what? You're still here, and I love you, and you got an exciting life planned for you. So he was like, yeah, Mom, this is great. So anyway, yeah, you could tell the relief in his voice, because he really didn't think he was going to make it to his 21st birthday because of all the stuff that people predicted out there, that they said the world was going to end and all that stuff. So it was a real lighthearted conversation today. So it's his birthday.
Awesome. God bless him.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. So, hopefully you'll be able to get him a link to this, and he'll be able to have a second birthday present he wasn't expecting, huh?
Yeah. We'll get a greeting from Kate Santos and you and Lisa and Tom, and boy, I tell you, this is going to be really cool. He's a great kid.
Wait till he does some research into Santos and Kate and the rest of the areas. It'll be a mega present.
Oh yeah, just a little bit.
Learning curve straight up.
That's it. You're 21 now, kid. You're an adult.
Yeah, and I see Lisa and Tom have made themselves at home in the room. Thank you, and welcome to Love 24/7. Anytime you need something, just holler in the room, and somebody will come and just give you a big loving.
Mm-hmm.
All
cool.
good.
All good. And as cheesy as it sounds, that's all we got to do, guys. We just gotta find our unconditional love, and that is the game changer of game changers. Love conquers all. And that's the one thing that those that wish to control this present now, are terrified of, right? And the one unfailing thing, and that's the one thing that I know in my own heart, I stood in every step of the way, always peaceful, always with love. And boy, it stymied them, regardless of what they did to me. I just looked at them and said, I love you. And I got to tell you, I know I changed a few people in where I was at, and having to go through the different places, the court, between the court and the jail and all the rest of it. I make a point of, regardless of the situation, to let the individuals know that they are loved, because for many of these people, they probably never experienced an unconditional form of love in their entire lives. So why don't you dare to be the first to do it, and watch what happens. The seed you plant today becomes the orchard of tomorrow. And I just plant seeds like a mad dog. Crazy cat.
Absolutely. That's all it takes. I mean, you might start out with one apple, and you've got 5 seeds in there. You've got 5 apple trees with hundreds of apples.
Yeah, it doesn't take long to spread that orchard. That's the whole thing about creation itself. It's a singular intention to exponential creation. That is the one seed to the one tree, to the 1,000 apples, to the 5,000 seeds, to the 5,000 trees, and it goes on like that. And we are creators. That is our job. We are not consumers, guys. And that's what they've got us convinced. You see, and that's the whole thing with the birth certificate. They had to dupe our parents out of their own inheritance, their children. So I put it in the mirror. And I've never come across this concept in all the times that all the stuff that I've went through, where I finally saw what the beneficiary is. The parents are the beneficiary of the children, because we are their creation, and it is up to creation to create for those that created them. And we've been doing it backwards. So this is the whole age-old thing of in the native cultures of honoring the elderly. And look at our society. I mean, a lot of people can't wait to get the elderly tossed into a home somewhere, so they're not my problem anymore. And that's just a symptom of the sickness of society. And We got 90 seconds left here, so I better hurry up. I'll just wrap up real quick. You guys can finish off. Thanks again for tuning in to a special edition of Beyond Outside the Box tonight. Much more to follow. Don't forget tomorrow night, Santo Bonacci with Syncretism, 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tony, everybody, last words?
Well, Spirit Dancer says good night.
Tom and Lisa,
Yep.
say good night, too. Thank you for everything.
Yep, thank you ever so much, guys, for listening. God bless you. We made it through. It's not a problem. The planet's been around for billions of years, and it will continue to do so. So everything's cool. Let's make a beautiful future for all of us, yeah?
Absolutely. The future is yours to pre-send yourself. Would you please get out of the now and start pre-sending a more beautiful, perfect world for yourself and stop buying the lie. It's all illusion. It's just a ride. Let's have some fun. The Matrix is melting before us. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and being a part of my life and making the difference that you have made, as you always do. That's why I love being a thread weaving with you. It's beautiful. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, Lisa, Tom. Thank you, caller who didn't leave your name earlier. It was a beautiful call. Thank you, Santo, for coming. Cindy and Terry and everybody. Oh, my God, the list goes on for forever. We'll catch you guys tomorrow night. Much love. Take care.
God bless you all. Thanks for listening.